Cards Podcast, the show where we break down the art of creative real estate investing. Join us as we dive into the world of real estate with insider tips and tricks for making your investments go further. From buying with no money down to flipping properties for profit, we've got you covered. Plus, stay tuned for expert guest speakers who will share their knowledge and experience in this ever-changing market. So grab a seat and get ready to learn the secrets to success in real estate investing. And now, from Alaska to New York, your hosts, Chris James and Jesse Stanton.
Let's go! Good morning, good morning, good morning. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the greatest show on earth. Thank you guys for being here. Happy Saturday to you. As you guys can see, we're not going from Alaska to New York today. My BFF, my PIC, my better half is still in Florida living it up. He's still got, I don't know if you guys caught him. He and I did he was on a live we did. And man, he just got back from a cruise a couple weeks ago and he had this shirt on. I was like, Chris, you should have told me, bro. Like, I would put my Hawaiian shirt on, man. You look fantastic. He's like, dude, I'm still in vacation mode, dude. I was like, dude, I'm so jelly. And then he's still down in Florida right now, kicking it up. So he's eating it up. And as you guys can see, we have Kevin back. My goodness. If you guys, I made a post a little earlier. I don't know if you guys saw it. It was a quote from Bruce Lee. I want to make sure that I got this right. So let me pull this up real quick on my end. Give me just 2 shakes real quick, guys. I want to make sure that I have this quote exactly right, because I don't know if you guys follow Bruce Lee much, but Bruce Lee is like one of my idols. There's so much wisdom in that individual. And here it is. Here's the quote. Bruce Lee once said, "To make a lot of money, you must be likened unto a Schouweiler." And for those of you guys that don't know what a Schouweiler is, well, we got the man, the myth, the legend here to describe to you guys how to make more money. Kevin Schouweiler, dude, welcome back to the podcast, bro. Thank you for being here. You look fantastic. I feel terribly underdressed. Your hair is on point per the usual. How you doing this morning, brother?
I'm doing great. Thanks for the warm welcome here. And hard to fill shoes like Chris's, especially his vacation sandals. Those are a big set of sandals to fill. So I'll do my best.
I've seen those feet pics. Not bad.
Well, they don't call me Schouweiler for nothing. You know, there's one thing I can do. I can fill some shoes, baby.
Welcome, guys. I see we got Devin Landers in the comments. What's going on? So Meta threw us a curveball today, and they changed up how everybody is able to stream. So usually we have about 8 different places or so that we stream to. So if I could request a favor from you guys, I'm still trying to figure out how we're going to bypass this and how we're going to pivot. So right now we're on my personal Facebook page and we are in the YouTubes. So those are the 2 places that we are streaming. And then I've got Chris's Facebook page pulled up here. So we got those 3 places. If you guys wouldn't mind, if you guys could go into like some of the other Facebook groups that we're part of, and just let everybody know, come on in here. Come into the YouTubes. Let's get today we're going to get into well, I'm not going to blow it. Today's going to be a really fun podcast. Today's is going to be extremely insightful. And as you guys know, anytime that Kevin comes on the podcast, like it's always we're turning this thing up to 11 all day, every day. So we don't want to miss this. Look it. We've got a Kevin in here in the comments as well. Awesome.
Yeah, be in here. So come in. You can make sure that you put your questions. We'll probably be dropping some things, and you guys will have follow up. So we're going to try to answer those live as we go. Devin, it was good to see you over this last week.
Did you meet up with Devin, bro?
I did get to connect with Devin and Mindy.
Dude, those guys are awesome.
To be in their company, to give them a big hug. They have such open hearts. I love Devin's story of where he's come from. We connected over a few things. I won't take his story from him. I'll let him come into the group, share it, but yeah, I just walked away going, these are just such heart-centered, loving people that are in real estate, looking to not just make profits, but do good in other communities. You know, it's like the units and the doors and we get into like these like kind of cold, lifeless sort of metrics that we use to like say how we're doing and how good we're doing. However, I can tell based on both him and his mother that like it's not just about the profits. It's about how do we create impact for our strategic partners,
Wow.
for the lives that are in those units. You know, it's like I see that they're gonna bring good. And one of the things we talked about that I was with Devin on is just like how to use his journey as part of his message to attract others around him, because he's got a very unique story. Again, I don't want to steal his thunder on it. Now, each and every one of you has had your own path, and every one of us has a unique aspect to that story that may resonate with certain people and draw them in. So we can talk about a little bit of that later in the call. But Devin, it was great to drop in with you. And
Dude, I love that. It's so quickly when you make the decision to intentionally jump out into real estate and to diversify your investments and to make more money and change, as Ed Milet says, be the one to change your entire family lineage. It's so easy to, as you're scrolling through social media or Instagram or Facebook, and you see this and you see that and you see the bells and whistles, and it's like, oh, I'm going to jump into real estate, and it's like 1, 2, 3 Lamborghini. But then when you mention, some of the things that you and Devin were discussing and his mom with regard to creating impact, those are the things that you don't see enough of. Yep. It's always like 1, 2, 3 Lamborghini. You see the house, you see the cars, you see the money, you see the vacations. And it's neat to be around people of like-minded nature that are like impact over profits.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
It's not that impact or profits, right? They both get to exist. It's simply just not forgetting about one side or the other. It's like, how can both of those coexist? And we talked about that on a previous call that we had, where if let's say I'm raising capital, and I'm talking about, here's the market metrics, these are the demographics and why we think there's growth in this area and why it's going to be a safe place for you to be parking your capital as that city grows or whatever. And here's the returns that we're expected to get, yada, 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 right? Okay, their eyes might go, that's great. Those returns are great. However, you got to think in their shoes, they may be looking at other places to go park that capital, to put it to work. Now, some people don't necessarily have other options. However, once you're getting into the hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, it's not just grandma's 50K. You're going to be dealing with more sophisticated investors that they're astute as to not just risk and return, but also what's the highest and best use of that capital. For sure. And that's why on that last call that we talked about, where I brought this up around impact, when you give somebody, here's, let's say 12, 15% return on the money in X amount of months versus one where it's 12, 15%, like very similar apples to apples on the return side.
Yeah.
And here's how it's impacting this community. Here's how it's changing the lives of not just the residents, but also impacting community around those residents, which thereby impacts the city. Now, all of a sudden, somebody gets a feel-good factor about putting their capital to use.
Yep.
And especially when you're talking to folks that are in their, 70s, 80s that have money, and they're not thinking about how do I get only return. They're thinking about how do I leave this planet better off. You're going to stand out far and above the rest. And I don't think there's enough people that are talking about this. It's like, if you're not looking at how you can create impact with the deals you're doing, you're falling short, not just of the returns and the amount of capital you could bring in, but how much good you could be doing in the world. And who else got into this only to ever make money versus us wanting to have better lives for ourselves and grow beyond that, better lives for others. If you're a heck yes, put that in the chat of impact. Just put impact in the chat of like, I got in this also to see if it can impact first, maybe Maslow's hierarchy, like myself, base level. But as we move up towards that, like self-actualization, how can I do more beyond myself? It's like, then it might expand to family, friends, and then community and others at large. So I don't want to steal the show on that, but I want to highlight that it stood out with both Devin and Mindy, like heart-centered individuals. They really care. And I want to see, others that are in that same sort of aspect, or like they care more beyond just the money. How can we create impact with the deals we're doing? Eric's all about it. Yeah. Deep impact, not just impact, deep impact.
Love that. It's funny that you bring that up, because that's such, when you're going and taking down these properties, and it ties into, you've had this conversation a handful of times. There's such an art that goes into it with being able to convey impact, especially when it comes to raising capital. When you want to go take down these properties, there's only two things that you guys need to go get a deal. It's not, you don't need a CRM.
Yep.
You don't need a dialer.
Yep.
You don't need to skip trace a list. You don't need to be out door knocking. You don't need to be doing any of these things. Whether you're buying a property, multifamily, single family, cash, creative, it doesn't matter. Or conventional creative. There's only two things that you need to go buy a property. That's a property. You need a deal, and then you need the money. You solve those two problems, guys, and you can go buy as many properties as you want. But to Kevin's point, both of those are not priority one here. Priority one is the money. You need to have those money, that money, those connections already ready to go.
Yes.
And one of the best ways to go and build those connections is to Devin's point. I'm going to highlight this again here. Exactly what you guys are saying. You need to be able to convey and articulate the impact, not just the returns, not just how the lender is safeguarded, but what is the domino effect here? To Kevin's point of how is it going to affect the people in the surrounding areas, the community? How does it benefit the schools or the residents nearby? You know, Kevin, it's so funny, dude, when I got into this and I had people telling me, hey, you need to figure out your money-making activity. You got to figure out your money-making activity. I never considered learning how to tell stories a money-making activity.
Oh, dude.
I was like, dude, who's over here telling stories, bro? Who's got time to tell stories? I need to be over here reading Grant Cardone books, and I need to be out of here reading books about how to negotiate. I need to be hammering the phones and doing all these things. But the more that I've gone through this process, the more that I've come to understand and see all these other people that are creating impact, are people who are convey and articulate themselves to showcase the benefits and what they're doing and how they're doing it and how everybody is winning. It's not just a, hey, here's a property, here's how we secured, and here's the returns.
This is, I think, a much deeper piece than we even realize on story, being able to convey in such a way that moves, touches, and inspires others. In fact, at the event that I just came back from, some of you guys were at that same real estate event. For those that were there, like a Devin that I met up with, how many liked Don Miller's segment? And Don Miller is an author. He talks pretty deep on the area of story and story branding, using stories to kind of showcase you. If you did like Don Miller's piece, I would just put in the chat, me, Don Miller, as I took a lot away from that, because he didn't just go into, stories can help move, touch, inspire others. He went into, there's a very methodical way that you can deliver story. And there's different ways that we craft stories. He was talking about how there's really, when you boil it down, like all the different movies and books that are written, like there's really only a few story arcs, like a few types that they all kind of fall down into. We all kind of know like the Western story, where it's like a group of people come in, have oppression towards other people. That doesn't feel good. There becomes this uprising, turns around. They're like, hey, we've had it. And then the Westerns, they took that into like sci-fi and into space exploration and stuff. And they had the same stuff over there. And everyone's like, wait a minute, this is just like a Western movie, but it's really just like space exploration. And you're like, that's because they're just using the same story arc of the same stuff. Now we can use that to our benefit if we really understand how to deliver story, and we're not just on a tangent talking about. And when I look at the specifics of how do I deliver things like getting interested in the character, the path, the inciting incident. If any of you guys have watched TED Talks, you might see that some of the TED Talks that you watch, they have millions of views. TED and TEDx have a very specific framework that they give to folks and say, hey, we know what works. Try to fit it into this framework. And that they just have a recipe, a playbook. Now, how does that impact me? Well, I'm going to deliver stories in multiple ways. I'm going to be delivering story on my path or what it is that we can do together to my potential deal finders, the deal flow. How do I move, touch, and inspire people to keep having deal flow come in front of me? Well, it's mostly about what's for them, but also about, it could go deeper into like how that's going to impact other people. Oh, now I definitely want to send it Kevin's way. I'll give you a real tangible example. If I was saying like, I'm 15 years alcohol free, I'm a coach in an area that helps other people shift their relationship to alcohol. One of the things we're really on the look for is a very specific type of property that fits this buy box so that we can create community living and sober living environments so that a certain segment of the population has that home base to shift that relationship, thrive, and go on to something different. Now, all of a sudden, those people are like, I wonder if that fits Kevin's buy box. He's really different. He stands out. He's not just a deal doer. He's an impact doer. Okay, so that's the deal flow side. How am I going to move, touch, and inspire the capital side? Well, if I have a similar story of that, this is how we're changing communities around, let's say, substance and issues that lead to things like mental health, or vice versa. It can be one or the other. Or we're looking at sober living so that we can get to the root of some things that may be around like mental health, or it could affect things in the city like houselessness. They call it homelessness in some places, houselessness in others. It's like there's different community issues that arise because of substance, right? And so I might be delivering story to both sides. Well, what about my team that's working under me? I gotta deliver the story of where the vision is that we're going to. If there's others that are who, not how, and have some others working with them on that journey. So the story and the ability to deliver story is very important, because but if you guys don't realize it, all of you are leaders when you choose to come into the world of investing, whether you own that and you choose that or not. I want that to sink in for a moment. I had to have somebody tap me on the shoulder and say, Kevin, I see a leader in you. Before that, found myself saying things like, I don't want the responsibility. I don't want to own it. I don't want to be in the limelight. I don't want to, and instead I'd rather just be in the back. Nobody has to know I'm involved, and I can just sit back and take my little role. But as soon as I stepped out of being just a follower, and I was like, actually, no, I have an intention here. I have a vision here. And it's more beyond just myself. That's when it started to go, oh, when I own that aspect, now I can deliver my communication in a different way from that place of responsibility and ownership. So for those of you that are thinking about, maybe I haven't really ever stepped into leadership or really felt that I was a leader, I want you to really question that today. Of what am I in the business of? Am I just in the business of real estate or making money? Or is it really like that's kind of the doing of what we're up to right now? But who I'm being in that could really elevate that whole path when I stop and I realize that actually I am a leader. I just haven't owned it fully. And so I'm leading those that are bringing the deal flow with me, saying, this is the path that you get to come with me on so that we both benefit and others benefit. And actually, Mrs. or Mr. Capital, whoever has that, they're looking to put that into place. That's for work. Like, I'm looking to lead for your impact, for your legacy, or for your betterment and your family. And at the same time, we're impacting other people's lives. And when I really step into that light, it doesn't have to be that I'm the most gifted speaker, though I would say, skill set aside, like Jesse said, like, you can get better. That's a skill that you can acquire and get better at over time, of communication and delivering story. However, I could just be me, like level 1 version of me, and still choose leadership, and that would bring me up another level. Now you can keep moving up levels as you bring in things like skill sets, experience and understanding, other resource, stepping outside of your comfort zone, which is definitely something I want to dig into today. And as we're pushing the envelope, pushing the boundary of what feels comfortable, then it will also stretch us into who else we get to become. For me, when I look back, I'm not going to necessarily think on my deathbed, man, I wish I made an extra $2 million, an extra $20 million. Because that phase, like at that, when I'm, at the end of the rope, so to speak, and I know it's kind of coming, I'm going to look back and I'm going to think, who was I? Did it matter on how I showed up? And I'm going to want to ask myself, of who did I become on that story arc? And whether you know it or not, you're becoming someone along this journey. Regardless of like where you start and where you end up, we all go on a journey. But what it would be now on that journey, and to realize now I could actually stop and realize, like, if I'm going to become something anyways, why not choose? Who do I get to become? Because I like to say, if you look back 10 years, 10 years is a long enough time that you can realize I was in a different place in life. I might have felt a little different. I had different things going on at that time, but also I was, as a person, different. I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago. I'm also not going to be the same person, I would venture to guess, in another 10, 20 years. So rather than just by default finding myself as something else, what if I got intentional now of who do I get to become in another 10 to 20 years? Ooh, that's a game worth playing. Jesse, what are your thoughts or feedback on some of this as I'm sharing a little bit?
Dude, I'm eating it up, man, dude. Let me just say, anytime that you and I ever get the pleasure, for me, anytime that I get to talk with you, Kevin, sincerely, it's a gift. It's a gift for me. And I just love it because I spend so much of my time doing what I love. I'm a coach, and that's what I mean, real estate is awesome. Real estate has changed my life completely. It's allowed me and my family to do things that I never thought that I would be able to do. But coaching and being able to come in here and improve my skills, my habits, my mindset, my character, and work on those things. You've been a major part of that. And it's just anytime we ever get to come in here, man, I'm like, go from coach, and then I'm like student mode. So I'm just eating this up. But thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for sharing all of that. It's super, super helpful and beneficial for me to hear, and serves as a great reminder on multiple things. One thing that I have found, you're talking about this evolution from who we are to who we have to become. I never realized when I was getting started, like how much that journey, that transformation plays into the money that we are after. And the cool thing about this is even, I mean, you're talking like 10, 20 years, this transformation. I mean, dude, I can't even tell you, probably I would say in the last 18 months alone, Kevin. And you know that you've been a big part of that.
Appreciate it.
I want to give credit where credit is due. But even
it's been awesome to see, by the way. It's been awesome to see how you've changed over the time that we've worked together.
Oh my gosh, bro! I've 10x'd my income. I've 10x'd my business. I've 10x'd my relationships. I've 10x'd like everything, dude.
You guys should have seen it. I was talking with Jesse almost a year ago to this month, right? I think we came back to
it was, bro. It was.
And you're like, Kevin, I'm kind of thinking about giving back. I'm kind of thinking of, and it was in this kind of ideation phase. And it was like, oh, maybe in like October, that maybe then I'll do something with this idea about like Growth Co. and something. And it's like, and it starts today. It starts now. And maybe it's a little trial by fire that I kicked your butt a little bit into taking steps forward out of that comfort zone into it. And I'm sure now you're probably looking back going, I wish I'd have started earlier.
Yeah.
I wish I'd have stepped into this earlier, because it's so aligned. It's just like on point with how you are, just uniquely, your essence kind of fits hand in glove with how you show up in this.
Thank you.
And I feel like all of us kind of have something like that, where there's something that's really, kind of right hand, right glove, just like the perfect fit.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, but I haven't fully stepped into that before. And so it seems like, well, but I'm not certain on how it's going to play out. And so the brain, anything that's uncertain, starts to come up with reasons to create resistance.
Absolutely.
And so that can keep us in that analysis paralysis of getting ready to get ready mode and some of that stuff. Now, not to beat on that, but I'm bringing it up that to see your story arc. How many have been along for the journey since last year of seeing Jesse fully step into his light as coach? I know I have. I've had the pleasure of seeing you up level. I also take a ton away from you. The best relationships are when, I get something from you, you get something from me, and we're better off because of it. Like, you help me think bigger. I'm not as much of a visionary. I'm much more of an integrator on my profile style. And so when I get around a Jesse, I'm thinking not even 10x. I joke around of like 11x. I want to see that 11x show up because, you know, Jesse and the brand around like music and stuff. It just makes me think, why not? Why is it 10? Why can't it be 11 or 12 or 26 or
cranking that amplifier, that guitar amplifier up to 11, bro?
I've thought so small for so long. And then you get around people like a Jesse and you're like, oh, actually, it's like, it's not even just like a specific idea. It's like getting in the field and the energy of how he shows up, how he speaks. It's just like, it's like a energetic transmission that I take in, and I walk away from these conversations going like, I'm playing small. I need to, yeah. Tanisha's like amplification. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, actually, speaking of transformations, holy cow. I like to see Tanisha over the course of, well, I've been, you know, seeing your journey a little bit over the last 3 years, to see how you showed up, to see you on stage. Oh my God. Like you, like 180. Like I would love to have Tanisha on here at some point sharing like her transformation.
Dude, we should. Tanisha, shoot me a text and let's line you up. Let's oh my gosh, that'd be, yes.
Dude, like
amazing idea.
Tanisha, I just can't say enough on like who you are now versus 3 years ago. Whoo, get out of her way, dude. Like this girl's got fire. And really it's in a different way than some people's journey. Like I think of like a Grant Cardone, different personality style than a Tanisha, right?
Mm-hmm.
How she shows up as leader, her confidence and her ground. It's almost spiritual in some ways when I felt like you giving the transmission that I got to be witness of on stage. It was just like, wow, like to see the opening that she has and like the groundedness to it. It's like I saw this woman go from like just kind of like a helper, like there's like just giving and showing, here's a link for something, let me organize that for you, to like now I truly see leader in her. And I need to get around her more. I think she would really give, because to see how rapid it was in the last 3 years, night and day. So love that you're in on this, Tanisha.
Tanisha and I had the pleasure of having a really great conversation last month. And man, we're live. We're putting this out here live for everybody, Tanisha. But man, this would be kind of cool to kind of, you know, as we're all kind of growing and scaling, we'll have the three of us ought to have a conversation offline. And Chris, yeah, this would be awesome. You know, as we're talking about growing and elevating and all that kind of stuff, the neat thing that I've really come to the conceptually, the thing that has really helped me understand a lot of these things, Kevin, because I see a lot of entrepreneurs get caught up in the tactical side of things. They don't understand there's two different sides to this business. There's a tactical side where you're doing all the things. You're doing the market research, and you are you're doing
underwriting,
you're doing the comping, you're doing the all the follow up, all that kind of stuff. But I think a lot of people get caught up in that hamster wheel and they forget about the complete strategic side to this.
Yes,
you know, it's almost the equivalent of, this is how I've seen most people as a coach and somebody being there personally at one point in my life as well. Metaphorically speaking, it's almost the equivalent of you buy a plot of land, and then before you have any schematics or anything like that, you just start ordering bricks and you start ordering wood and you start doing all these things. And it's like, I'm going to start building this. And then you do, not only are you ordering these things without any rhyme or reason, but you start laying bricks and everything yourself, and you have no business in being a bricklayer. You know, you start putting together the foundation and the rebar, and you have no idea how or when you're going to do it. No planning or anything like that. And you forget, like, dude, there's this strategic aspect of this as well. And it all comes back to right here between your ears. This is why, like, this evolution of leadership, being uncomfortable, calling your shot, being around the right people. You get to see, you guys are seeing this in real time. Like Kevin and I talk offline. Obviously, we have a very great and wonderful and meaningful relationship, but you guys get to see both of us growing right here in front of you. Mm-hmm. And if this doesn't, help give you guys some perspective on how important it is. I mean, look at right here live. Me, Tanisha, Kevin, and Chris are all going to connect. Just from this relationship alone, from this live, because we were intentional right here, right now, this will impact where we are all going to be by the end of the year.
100%. And that's
And the
just
thing
one
that I really want to
conversation.
share with you guys real quick and bring up is, as you are leveling up, when you figure out how to go, and I'll use myself as an example, dude, when I was in the military, I was making $6,000 a month. It took me 15 years to get up to like $6,000 a month. And it was hard, dude. I mean, there was a time when I got my gym membership over at Planet Fitness, Kevin, and I was debating. I was like, man, it's $10 a month, but can I afford? Is it selfish of me to go for the $20 a month membership? As a father, as a husband, dude, I'm sitting here having thoughts, Kevin. Like, am I robbing my family by being selfish to want to go for the $20 a month membership? And I can't help but to think just how many times, in my life, things have come up where I settled. And on this journey of self-development and being a business owner and being around the right people and the right relationships and having intention and growing my mindset. Derek, thank you for being here, brother. Hi, appreciate you. The cool thing that I've come to learn, Kevin, that I hope a big part of what everybody takes away today is when you are intentional with your habits, you're intentional with your thoughts, you're intentional with your goals. When you're intentional like this, you go from where you are. So for me, I was making $5,000 a month. And then when I figured out how to make $10,000 a month, guess what? When I figured out how to make $10,000 a month, guys, that became my new minimum operating level. There's a saying, and I'm sure you guys have heard it. You don't rise to your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. You fall to the level of your freaking standards. You fall to the level of shit that you tolerate in your life. You fall to your level of accountability. You fall to your leadership capabilities. When you figure out how to make $10,000 a month, for all you guys who are trying to leave your W-2, when you figure out how to make $10,000 a month, guess what? That becomes your new minimum operating level. When you figure out how to make $20,000 a month, that becomes your new minimum operating level. When you figure out how to make $50,000, $80,000, when you make your first 6 figures a month, you now become the type of person that is capable of making 6 freaking figures a month. That's $1.2 million a year. When you figure out how to do that, guys, nobody can ever take that away from you. You can lose your house. You can go fucking bankrupt. You can lose everything. And your first thoughts will not be, well, shit, I've got to go get a job at Lowe's now.
Mm-hmm.
That's the cool thing about this entire thing is when you figure out, when you hit these milestones, and it's not just tactical. You're not going to get there just by cold calling your way to 6 figures a month. It comes from being strategic. It comes from being intentional. It comes from being able to make decisions that are not tied into emotion.
I'm buzzing over here. Preach it. Like I'm feeling like this is exactly the message I got to hear today. You brought up the example of like, I get into this thought of like, am I stealing from other people?
Mm-hmm.
Am I stealing from my family by making this choice of $10 a month? Now, looking back on that, you could probably think that's crazy talk, right? And I get where you're going with that. So in that case, you're being selfless by looking outward, and you could easily rationalize that. However, what am I stealing from them by not allowing myself to have my cup full, by having movement, to have my health at optimal? It's like interesting how that mirror can easily flip when I realize I got to put on my oxygen mask before I help everyone else with theirs. And like, was I at my best at that point? Probably not. I mean, I can't imagine what you were going through at that point, but it doesn't sound great. And what you probably could have used is self-care.
Yeah.
When your body in alignment, your energy in alignment. I'm sure sleep was a little off just from the kiddos. However, There's
naturally.
other things I could look at as my inputs. I think that everyone could. I'm not saying that everyone's at their best, but I haven't met a person yet that it's all completely dialed in around self-care and their health. There always seems to be, when you get into this world, it gets very meta, and there's always a next level. There's always a next level up. And so this is one that we continually get to play with that area. It doesn't get to go away.
I want to share with you guys a post that I wrote this morning. I had this epiphany. I was taking my kids through Goodwill yesterday. And man, if anybody's got kids and they don't want to spend a couple $100 on like Nerf guns and stuff, like, dude, they had this Canon machine gun military. If the military produced Nerf guns, like they had this thing here for like $34. It was super dope. But I had this epiphany as I was taking my kids through Goodwill yesterday. I made a post about it. I'm not sure if you guys saw it or not, but I want to read it to you guys. I want to know if there's anybody else who resonates with this. It says, before I got into real estate, my days were spent working 40 hours a week for the military. This was how I was raised and perceived as believing what a normal life looked like. As if working 40 hours a week for 50 years was the level of life that I should rise up to. Guys, notice I said rise up to. I viewed myself and other people growing up as just way smarter than me. I didn't have a lot of self-confidence. I wasn't extremely good in school. So there were these people that I used to put on a pedestal. And for me, and the way that I perceived what success was me getting over my shit and raising to the level that I would be able to work 40 hours a week for the next 50 years. Derek says, I was working 70, 90 hours a week when I was a semi-truck owner-operator.
Wow.
Dude, it's a lot, man.
That's right.
And it sounds like some of you guys can resonate with this. Sounds like Derek will probably resonate with this. I used to think that was the cap. David Goggins, he talks about how the average person only, what does he say, reaches about 40% of their actual potential. So me sitting here thinking that I'm giving it all, my all, I'm at 100% of what I can give when I find a job that I can work 40 hours a week for 50 years and then retire. In my mind, that was a set standard. That's the white picket fence. That's the American dream right there. That's what Jesse is capable of. Man.
It's interesting you brought that up about David Goggins, because I believe he was relating that to the physical capabilities. Like, so when somebody's going through like boot camp or they're going into like Navy SEALs and they're just kicking their ass.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you see really quickly that actually when I have something behind me pushing me, I can now see I'm capable of far more than what my brain would have stopped me at and say, this is too much. We got to give up. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that 40% is exactly the same as what it would be over in the realm of what you're capable of with giving of your gifts, creating impact in the world. I would actually say that we're probably selling ourselves short, and that it may actually only be 4% that we kind of set that limit on. And there's a whole nother game that we could be playing. It's hard to know what the measure is.
Generous.
Yeah, 40%. Exactly. I can see there is some physical limitations. When I think of like, how long can I carry, 20 pounds on each shoulder up a mountain,
right,
and I go all night long. Eventually I'll like burn out, right? Eventually there'll be like some physical limitations. But when I think of somebody's potential and what they're capable of giving of their gifts, and then the exchange of value and how much income can coming in, I don't even think 40 is even close to where we're capping ourselves at when some of those thoughts come in. I think we have far more than 60. Like it's like
I 100% agree with that. And to think that that's the standard, like that's like, oh, that's like giving your all, that's the American dream there. And it wasn't until I started getting into real estate, that I realized that the dream that I was taught to strive for, and this is what made me think of it, because back to Kevin's point a little bit earlier, he was like, man, you think you're sacrificing $20, that you're taking away from your family. But then it's like, dude, think about what you're sacrificing by working 40 hours a week for 50 years. Think about what you're sacrificing every time that you go to hang out with your friends, and all you guys talk about is the Super Bowl or sports. You go over there, you're wearing somebody else's fucking jersey. When was the last time a group of guys and gals just got together and said, hey, if we had to make money today, what are you good at? 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 Let's talk money. And for my entire life, I always thought that money was kind of like a four-letter word. It was kind of like an F word. It was like, you don't say that in my house. We don't talk about money. We don't talk about how to make money. People who talk about money are greedy. People who talk about money are evil. And for me, I had to undo 29 years of thinking of this type of stuff before I understood this. It's like, dude, what are you talking about, man? Like, it's not like we send missionaries out here for free. It's not like we're building churches. It's not like when natural disasters happen that all this is just getting, fixed for free. It's the people that go out and here create value for the marketplace, and then they give all this money to help and nurture, and like Kevin said, leave this planet better than it was when we found it. And so anyway, I wanted to share that with you guys just because I had this epiphany as I was going through Goodwill. I was like, man, these are moments that I would have never had the opportunity to capture. And I took a picture of my son and my daughter sitting on a couch at Goodwill. And I was like, man, that is so neat that I can just be present with my two kids right here in this moment, because they're going to go like that. We're all going to be dead. We're going to be dead for a very long time. Before you were born, you weren't born for a very long time. And if you live to be 100 years old on this earth, in the grand scheme of this entire timeline, it is a millisecond. You get one chance. There's no do-overs here. You get one freaking chance. And I will tell you guys what, I am so thankful that even after committing 15 years to the Air Force, that I took the plunge and I bet on myself. It's given me these moments back. It's given me the ability to buy back my time. And it's not all unicorns and rainbows, but that's where the self-development comes in. That's where the transformation comes in. When I was debating on whether or not to buy a $20 mentor or a membership to Planet Fitness, it was also during that time when a check engine light would come on in my car or something would break in the house, and just instant anxiety. I'm like, well, how are we going to pay for this? We never use the credit cards. We never do that. And every time we had a spare money, it was like, well, we can't go on a date because the kids need this, or the house needs fixed, or we got to get, spend another $1,200 on winter tires for the cars, or, any of these types of things, man. And that's not how we should be thinking. That's not how we should be living. And I wish somebody would have explained this to me. And I wish somebody would have said, Jesse, listen, it's way easier to go out and make an extra $1,000 a month than it is to try to sit here and cancel your Netflix account and save $1,000 a month. And it's just a completely different reframe. It's a completely different way of thinking that I wish I would have understood a little bit earlier in my life. But all of these ideas, this dialogue, all comes from being intentional with the people that you're around, and those relationships you cultivate and you serve.
Derek's
So I just want to share that with you guys.
Derek's bringing in here. I wish someone would have taught me this 25 years ago. And that's a really interesting thought, is like, yeah, I would be in such a different place. It's kind of like planting a tree. Like, yeah, yesterday would have been the best time, or, 10 years or 25 years ago. The next best time is taking it in now there's many lessons that quote unquote, I should have learned already. It's like, you're like, how many times am I going to have somebody tell me this on a podcast, or somebody else is telling me it's going to be like this? Or I could simply just pick up what resonates today in anything that we touched on and say, if that resonated for some reason, it highlighted that was a yes, or that hit home for me. Let's internalize this going forward so that it now gets integrated into my life. And so I don't want this to be an episode of the podcast where you just listen to it was inspiration. I call it mental masturbation, where it's just this quick dopamine hit. Aha, felt good, but it's a simulation for the real thing. It's a simulation for me taking this and putting it into my life. And so I want you, if this hits home, and you're like, something in here spoke to me today, whether it was on the concept of leadership, whether it was on the concept of like noticing how the brain warps things when we're in scarcity versus abundance. If there's something that stood out in I would post it into the comments here of what I'm now going to take away and I'm implementing into or incorporating into, whether it's my mindset, my beingness, or my action plan. That's going to help hold me accountable a little bit more by publicly putting it out there in the comments. Like, now this is what I'm up to based on one thing I'm taking away from this conversation. You brought up the piece here on with, let's say it's the anxiety and the car breaks down. And, oh my gosh, how are we going to pay for it? We're on that poverty line. I think we've all had something like that where something comes, you're like, oh crap.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This is indicative of where my life is now. I'm not saying it's where you want to be in that moment when you're in that part of life now. But I want to just bring up that that's a problem. That's a set of issues or challenge that's arising in the life as lived in that moment. Let's say, Jesse, if I gave you $50 million, okay, I just gift it to you, $50 million. Okay,
Definitely
now,
getting the $20 membership.
You get that $20 membership. Okay, well, I mean, you get $20 membership. You get $20 membership for everybody. Okay. With that, would all challenge, problem, obstacle be removed from your life?
No.
Okay. Would you have new challenge, problems, or obstacles by coming into $50 million?
100%.
Okay. No matter where I go, and you can look at the whole story arc of your own life and look at, has there ever been a point in my life where I'm absent for more than even 3 days of not having some sort of problem, challenge, or obstacle, whether it was glaring and in my face, like I can't pay for this thing, or in the background? I know I should be saving for that thing with, or like my kids' schooling, or I know I should be putting more away in my 401k or something, or I know I should be working on my health, or I know I should be, and it's still even in the background. I would venture to guess, if you're anything like me, I've never been absent of it. There's always been something going on. And so if that's been my path so far, it's likely to continue no matter where I go. Now I'm just trading as I move up different problems, challenges, and obstacles. And so when I come into them with that anxiety that comes in, I want everyone to take away from today how we enter into receiving or perceiving that experience is very important. So let's say something comes up, some issue happens today, this week, next month. You're like, oh no, this is happening. Why is this happening? I want you to smile for the next one that comes and go, I knew you were going to be here. I knew you were going to be here. You probably have something right now in your life. And you're like, yeah, Kevin, but if you have this problem, I want you to actually just take a moment and realize that if it's not this, it will be something else. And there's something that shifts when I receive or open to it, as if like, instead of resisting, whatever I resist persists. Whatever I resist persists. So if I'm resisting this problem, this challenge, this, why me, or what's going on, I want to level up in the question that I'm asking myself. So rather than, how do I figure out how to pay this thing? Why is this happening to me, as in like a victim mindset? Or I want to raise up into a different level or a different frequency of question, and to be asking, how can I? Who can I? Or what will the challenges be when I get there at that next level that I know I'm going to get to, when I get to that next level? Because when I know that I'm going in this direction forward, I'll look back and I'll laugh on this thing. But for now, with problems, challenges, and obstacles, they're always going to be present in your life. And many of us get this energetic drain that goes on where we're like, oh man, how do I figure this out? Or uh, so I, to shortcut it, simply notice that we're always going to have problem, challenge, obstacles. Something's going to come. And when I move forward, I'm going to now, instead of resisting it, I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to lean into it and go, okay, game on. Okay, you brought this today. Wasn't expecting that. Where do I now get to go with it? Right? And Debbie's, I love what Debbie's bringing up here. She says, truth. I've been doing this all my life, and it's why I'm still standing. Yeah, I think we're all still standing too. It's like, you always figured it out. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here on this, this thing today here watching it. Something would have happened and you wouldn't be here. But you've always figured it out. And so if I've always, up till now figured it out, it's likely that I may figure out new things or new challenges as I rise into it. Now, the fun part about what Jesse was bringing up with how do we pay for this stuff and I'm stuck at this level, some of that is because I've for whatever reasons been at this level of operating. As you guys are in this conversation, you guys are on a path of progress. You're going to rise up, and that's not going to be that thing of how do I pay for this. There's going to be new things that come. I'm going to welcome those challenges when they come because they're going to create new stuff. I know for myself, actually, if anybody was at the event over this last week and you got to listen and dig into what Jerry was talking about. Jerry was talking about how there's different problems. Jerry Norton. There's like different problems that come up in life. And Jerry Norton was bringing up that as I rise up in risk level, there's going to be new things that present itself. However, it's just like any sort of comfort zone. As I expand out of it, now that what was out of comfort for a while eventually gets normalized by being at that level for a while. And then you go, okay, well, now this feels like comfort because I'm used to it. Mm-hmm. The brain has a very interesting thing of normalizing what conditions we're in. Just even look back at COVID. We're all locked into our house. What's going on here? This is crazy. This is wild. But eventually, after a few days, weeks, or whatever, people are on YouTube and baking bread and just, figuring things out. And it gets a little bit more normalized. I'm not saying it was wanted. I'm not saying that you enjoyed it, but it became more normal to you the longer you were in it. And the same is going to be true as we operate at another level up and another level up. So as we come into this conversation, I also want to be thinking, how can I trade up problems, challenges, and obstacles for the new ones? Because I'm going to get the benefits of that next level. I'm not going to be without or absent of problems and challenges. I'm just simply going to embrace them. I know I'm going to be there as part of the human condition. It is my personal belief that there's something about how us as a human being and our consciousness operates that we create problems and challenges. So if I were to just get rid of it, like wave a magic wand, they were gone, it wouldn't take more than 3-4 days before we come up with some new one. And so therein lies that maybe it's actually tied to part of the human condition that sends us on one of those story paths that we talked about. And now I get to go on that hero's journey or one of those story arcs where I become somebody different because of the challenge. And so without challenge or problem or obstacle, we just stay where we are in comfort. We wouldn't have any stimulus prompting the change, prompting us to go on the journey. And so if I think of it in that context, now when it arises, it just becomes another thing that's propelling the momentum of me moving forward. That's how all of you can, when it comes up, you can open to it, laugh, and just go, I knew you would be there. Thank you because I'm going to be better from it. I'm going to be better because of it if I choose it that way. Okay, I'll get off on my high horse about this. Went on a long monologue.
Good, dude. Good golly, Miss Molly.
This is how I think of it. Like and some of you guys are coming into this right now. Like deal comes your way, you're like, oh, I've been raising money. It's a little bigger than I've been expecting, and it's a great opportunity. I came into a conversation with somebody like that this week. They're like, I've been raising money. We're still like, this new opportunity came, and I need another $2 million. Great problem to have. So getting out there networking, they're talking. I want those challenges. How do I find that $2 million? And I'm certain that person will, just talking with them of how they came about it. They weren't like, oh my gosh, how do I find it? They're like, yeah, we're looking for the extra $2 million. Very calm, collected, confident about it, as if like I'm sure underneath they're probably a little uncomfortable, like, oof. But it seemed like they were rising to the challenge of it, in my experience of them. I'll never fully know what they're feeling in their shoes, but they certainly were coming off to me like they got it. And when they transfer that in their communication, if I'm looking to invest, that person, I'd be more happy to send it in their direction than somebody else that's frantic and stressed out by it. Like, we need to figure out this $2 million. Geez, I don't, if you handle this as a problem, I can't imagine what happens when you get the deal and stuff comes up. Management problems or otherwise.
Dude, it's interesting that you brought that last little tidbit up. When people, I talked about I did a live yesterday, and I talked about this a little bit during my live yesterday as well. When I was in DARE, I remember being in the DARE program. You remember DARE, Kevin?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
In 6th grade, I went through DARE, and we had this police officer come in, and he was conducting the class. And I remember him giving us tidbits about what it was like to be a police officer. And when they are, what's the word? Tailing somebody, like when they're outside, like watching him and trying to get more information about him. One of the things they ended up doing was they would go through this guy's garbage can. And I was like, what? And they're like, you'll find so much about an individual going through the garbage can. You'll find the things that they're buying. You'll find the boxes being thrown out. You'll find receipts. You'll be able to see exactly what they eat, what kind of activities they're into, what they spend their time on, what they spend their money on.
Mm.
And it was very interesting to hear that. Obviously, him saying this. I mean, it was Officer Mike Miller, dude, and we're still friends on Facebook. And you know what? I thought about this in terms of how it relates to the business, and a lot of people don't realize this. The things that they post on Facebook is almost like going through somebody's garbage can. Like there's a history
100%.
there. There's a track record there. And when you see the things that people post, I've seen people that I thought very highly of, and I was like, wow, this was an interesting way to engage or way to communicate things that really, to your point, it really kind of made me take a step back and think, man, if I did do business with this individual and this is how they're responding on Facebook about something, what's that going to say, when something does come up? How are they going to respond? One of my all-time favorite quotes from Warren Buffett is, if you can't control your emotions, you can't control your money. Emotional intelligence is such a key point in this. And going back to, some things I was talking about. When I first jumped into real estate, bro, I thought calling. I thought that was the money-making activity. I did not realize how much mindset and the self-development, growing these habits and skills with learning how to communicate or tell a story or articulate myself or empathize or sympathize with somebody. Those, the leadership skills, like that's where the real money stuff is. That's where you create that's where legacy comes in. That's where you're creating impact. And like you said, those two things go hand in hand with each other on this journey, man. So just things to be cognizant of, folks. Your social media is just like the cops going through your dumpster, man. It's like, man, there's a lot that we can see there. And so I make sure, like, when people hit me up, I go through it, dude. I'm like, dude, how much political BS are they posting on their Facebook? And I'm not judging somebody because they're posting political stuff. What I'm looking for is even deeper than that. When you guys post something that's political on your Facebook, I don't care which way, whatever. It doesn't matter to me. What I'm looking at, though, is the 500 comments underneath that. And everybody, it's one way or the other. You got somebody who agrees, and then you respond to them, and you're like, yeah, screw everybody else. They don't get it. And then you got somebody else who completely disagrees, and then you're going back and forth, and you're creating another thread of 200 comments from you guys just going back and forth. What I'm looking at is, wow, this person doesn't value their time. This person is not somebody that is consistent. This person is not somebody that's disciplined. I'm looking at things that are much deeper than just somebody voicing their political views. So all things to be cognizant of, just going back to Kevin's point, those are all things that I look at when I go into business with people. There's a track record there. There's a history there.
Mm-hmm. Personal branding isn't just intentional; it's also just the unintentional of what you put out there.
Absolutely. 100%. One of the things that have you guys, let me know what's in the comments, dude. Are you guys enjoying this? This has been such a phenomenal. I'm glad that we have this recorded. I know I'm certainly going to come back to this and watch it again and continue taking notes on here.
This is funny. You brought up garbage, and I was thinking of like what sort of wrappers they would find in my garbage can. Then you brought up Warren Buffett, and he brought up how
kind of guy.
and you brought up how people think of like, oh, do I do the $10 membership or do I splurge and get the $20 membership? And you're thinking, but Warren Buffett also has this funny quote I'm going to put in the chat here, and he was talking about when I'm not feeling quite so prosperous, I might go with the $2.61. Which is 2 sausage patties I put together. The $3.17 is a bacon, egg, and cheese. But the market's down this morning, so I think I'll pass. And it's funny because it's all of what, like not even 50 cents.
Mm-hmm.
But how something like a market being down and how it's affecting things affects my mindset and how I start making kind of silly and almost irrational decisions, like I'm going to forego 50 cents on ordering something. And Warren's classically known as someone that's like frequented McDonald's and his Egg McMuffin and his Coke and his, people give him a hard time about like his diet, even though he's done so well in one area. Which again, as I mentioned before, don't necessarily look up to everybody as if like they got it all together. He may have figured out investing, but I'm not sure he'd be my health coach. However, he's bringing up an interesting thing, and that quote is like, here's this guy knows a lot about finance, and even him, like just this guy we put up on a pedestal, also susceptible to how it feels when like things aren't going their way. And there's a challenge that comes up, like the market being down, and oh my gosh, how's that affecting things? And I'll just forego this 50 cents and do this other thing over here. Now, there's more context around that quote and some things that go on to it, but I'm just bringing it up that even grand masters can be affected by things that are emotional, which is why what we're talking about with some of the stuff today is very much EQ or emotional quotient related, and how we could all benefit from having our emotional intelligence, our emotional capabilities enhanced when we really see that they affect so many things in our behavior and the end results that come from it.
Well said, bro. Well said.
Now, I had the opportunity of being around some other people this week at an event, a meetup, a broad range of different folks into, complete different set of corners of things in the world of real estate. And I love being in rooms where there's others that are up to big things. They allow me to think and expand and go on farther. However, it was a broad mix. We have people that are everywhere from wholesaling to, fix and flips. Then you got the folks that are doing single family and buy and hold and small portfolios, people doing multifamily. There's folks into industrial and doing land and just such a broad range, right? And there's so many different paths. I got Airbnb guys over here and the short-term rentals. I got mid-term rental folks. I got the slow, long-term rental. And there's so many different paths, which is why myself, Jesse, and a few others are curating a much more intentional room to get around, where we're getting hyper-focused. We're bringing together people that are really working on a very specific way to level up and not just take the slow path, to take a much more elevated path. Now, one of the things you brought up is like abundance and mindset. Like I could play it small, play it safe, go with something that's an easy step into the world of real estate. Like maybe try to get my first wholesale deal, or maybe I've got my first wholesale deal. Now I'm going to try to do 1 or 2 of those a month, and maybe at the end of the year, try to hold 1 or 2 of them and slowly grow a portfolio. Okay, safe, manageable, easy. However, when we talked about the comfort zone, you'll have challenges in that path, or you'll have challenges in some other path where I'm acquiring 50 units at a time, 100 units at a time. I've had the ability to work with a team that has had 700 plus units under management. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of things going on, but it's no much more the amount of time in a day and the amount of headaches that I deal with than playing a small game of just 1 or 2 here and there. It's just which level do I want to be playing at? Which is why we wanted to bring together folks that are willing to look at this through the lens of a connector, especially not just a connector and I'm aimlessly kind of making connections and seeing what happens. It's like, let's do it at a whole nother level. We're calling it the rock star connector, someone that is performing at a high level, like a rock star on stage. People look up to them. And they're operating it in such a way that it's not just willy-nilly, it's a system and a business where I'm bringing together deal flow and I'm bringing together capital. I'm curating what deal flow comes in, safeguarding that around what capital partners I'm bringing to the table so that their money is put to use in the highest and best, as well as maybe a balance around risk-adverse way, and how to, as individuals in that room, hold each other accountable to leveling up. Now, some of you already know that that event is coming up. It's going to be in June. It's going to be June 13th through 15th. If you're in VIP, there's an extra day involved. And what that's for is for those 3, possibly 4 days if you're VIP, to get around other people that are working the same model as you and working at a high level. So that when you come, it's not just, I'm going to sit on stage and talk at you. You're going to be pulling out your phone. You're going to be having a laptop or an iPad next to you. You're going to have a notepad. Then we're going to have you on break taking actions. It's going to be very workshop oriented. I want you leaving that experience, not going, that's great, I got a few phone numbers, that was cool. I want it to be that we're actually noticing how quickly this could actually go farther, faster. And we're calling it Unleash and Invest. I want to not just go into real estate and kind of see what happens. I want to unleash the potential that we talked about at the beginning of this call. Many of us are operating at a fraction of what we could be. And I want that to be a thing of the past, where we're actually pushing that envelope, pushing that comfort zone. I want us to be moving in a direction where I look back over the next 12 months and go, that was my breakout year. That was the year that I said, I'm not playing at that level anymore. It's time to really level up. Which is why one of the things that we had going on was a limited time discounted ticket price, so that the action takers get the benefit of being, speed to market, speed to the deal, benefit on the other side, incentivize the action takers. And some of you took us up on that, and I really appreciate you having that trust. And now one of the things that Jesse and I thought is putting together on our heads, like, how could we actually add more value to you guys? I know that those that are coming are really excited. I got like Devin that I talked to, Mindy that I talked to, like they came up, talked to me. They want to get started now. They don't want to wait till June.
Ken Wilson.
One of the bonuses I'm going to have is I'm going to personally get on the phone with you on Zoom. We're going to have one-on-one conversation. We're going to start with some action items. Then at the event, we are going to personally tailor, as part of the package now, we're going to personally tailor each individual that comes, their action steps and their action plans based on their situation, their experience, what resources they currently have, what resources they want to acquire. Because how I might be doing the business might be slightly different than how Jesse or somebody else might be. And so if I give generic, broad, hey, do this thing, well, I might not be taking something into account. Now, if something like that appeals to you, great. But I want to just make it clear that even if I could get something away from it, there's going to be benefit. It doesn't have to be that I just come for the personal tailored plan. You're going to have connections there. We're going to have plenty of different things that we're going to cover that you're going to find useful around the mindset, the actual day-to-day working of the business, team and operations, which I'm really excited about that part. And there's going to be some things that we're going to take away from there so that you're clear on the next steps of like, okay, I know exactly my path leaving here so I can kick ass and take names, not just over the summer, but over the next 12 months. Now, if that's a heck yes for you, I'm going to put the link in the chat. I get that it's, it takes something to step out of your life for a few days, come to an event, intentionally put 2-3 days, well, actually 3 days, possibly 4 if you're in VIP. And that's going to take time away from the business, so to speak, because you might have some phone calls coming in. You might be having, oops. There we go. Is that working?
Yeah. You're good.
I'm just posting this chat there. Or actually, let me try it this way. So, sorry, I derailed just because I was trying to put it in the chat. So with the way that we're mapping this out, I want it to be where everyone feels they can bring a family member, their kids. I don't want to be like, oh, well, I have to leave. So I talked with a gentleman, Zach, who was really interested in coming. He's like, I don't know. I was just at this event. I don't know about pitching it to my wife of like, hey, I'm going to another thing and having to take time away. And she's going to be there with the kids. Bring them with. Bring them with. I want everybody involved. This is a family business because it affects the family. And so I want you to feel like you can bring everybody to it and you don't feel like you're dumping that responsibility of childcare and taking care of the house on your spouse or your partner. Also, for some of you, it was like, I don't know if I can get the time off. I don't know if I can get the time off. I don't know if you can afford not to. Be really intentional about where this business is going. Because if you look back 12 months from now and operating at another level where we're not talking, I'm bringing in 10 grand, 20 grand a month. I want to see 7-figure earners out of that in the next 12 months. I want to see 7-figure earners, not what you raised, what you brought home net in the next 12 months. If that's uncomfortable or stretches you in some ways, or you go, I wonder how, good. That's exactly where I want your mind to be. I've had the pleasure of growing not one, but 2 7-figure businesses and an 8-figure business. One was in software, one was in coaching, one was in e-commerce. And I can tell you that you're going to have just as much headache and just as much stuff going on with a business that's doing 5-10 grand a month as it is when it's at another level. It's just new level, new devil, so to speak. And we just get to have fun with those new challenges. And I'm sure some of you would really like to have those challenges at 7 figures plus. Am I right? If that calls to you, that's the type of person that I'm wanting to attract in. And I get that some of you are like, I don't know if I can do it. I want to challenge that belief. If you're one of those that are in there going, how could acting and stepping in as that rock star connector actually make 7 figures? You'd be surprised. You could have one deal that nets you that. You could have one deal that nets you that. I'll give you an example. I come into a development deal over this last few days. Somebody brings a deal to me. I know a little bit about affordable housing, multifamily development, because I was in that world for 6-7 years. And they're like, Kevin, we have this piece of land. It's in the path of development. We don't know what to do with it. It's outside our comfort zone. Normally what we do is just trade little 5, 10, 20 acre parcels, buy them low, sell them high. This is in the path of development, but we don't know that game at all. Would you be willing to partner with us to look at how we could move that forward? And then we'll give you a piece of the upside. Okay. So you're looking at 20 some acres, about 96, the way I underwrote it, 96 lots. It's buy for 1.2, sell to the builder for 2.9. Okay. So there's a spread in there between 2.9 and 1.2. We're going to buy the land for 1.2, sell for 2.9. Now, why would the builder buy it for that? Because they're going to build homes on those 96 units and net about 7 million. And actually, these numbers aren't all that crazy. They're actually kind of low in some respects, just a different part of the country. But I know that there's a spread in there. Am I going to be doing all the work all the time? No. Am I going to be splitting that deal with other people? Sure. But I'm going to get darn close to 7 figures just on that one deal. I think it'll probably be about 800 and some, all said and done. There's going to be construction costs involved. There's going to be holding costs involved. But I'm perfectly okay with that. Game on. Because I know what it takes to do the horizontal build out, go through entitlements, getting feasibility studies, taking it all the way there. Now, you don't have to know that deal. I'm just saying, once you get into the path of things open up. Did I did I actually source that deal? No, they just came to me because they know I'm in this world. That also speaks to the personal branding. When you are someone that does deals, when you put yourself out there, it's not even just going to be you direct to deal flow. Other people with deal flow are going to come to you. Interesting. And I can talk about 3, 4 others that are like that. So this is how even just one deal could come together for you. And you're going to probably ask me, well, Kevin, where are you getting the money? With the relationships I already built. I'm not scrambling going, how are we going to find that 1.2 million? I got the relationships already. In fact, they're happy because like I brought it up. Like I think we got something in the works. They're going, finally. Like we've been wanting to put this to work right now with you. Awesome. Game on. I'll let you know when that's in front of you. So this is, I'm just trying to put it out there that I don't expect you guys going into land development per se. But this is all just coming from I'm in the path of the flow and I've already put relationships in place. And we don't have to just look at, $100,000 houses. There could be many other deals coming your way. And if you don't know, somebody else near you could know the things that you may lack experience on or understanding around. And so being as a connector doesn't mean that I'm the only glue in the deal. I know people that have 5 partners in a deal. But because the deal is big enough, they just have to have a small piece of what they bring to the table, and everyone else brings different expertise. So be thinking of bigger ways that this could show up. And that's some of what we're going to map out. Did you guys get some aha, like, oh my gosh, like I'm thinking too small in that deal I just described? Actually, it's funny. Literally while I was on here, somebody brought me a development deal, 26 units, or excuse me, 26 acres it's up in the northern part of Montana where I live. And they're like, hey man, would you be willing to consult with us on this? Guess what I'm going to consult for? This guy he runs the REI meetup around here. So I'm going to talk to him. He's got great connections. I'm going to go, no need to pay me, but let's talk a little bit about equity. I know some of you guys are like, how do I get paid as a connector? Get creative is what I like to say. There's more than one way to get paid on a deal. Ken, I would love to have you up here in Montana, whether it's an event that one of these parties are putting on, or we could do a mastermind up here at some time, but I would love to get you guys out to this country. Okay. Now I've taken you long enough. Jesse, what are some thoughts on everything that we just touched on today?
Dude, you know what I'm really excited about? I'm really excited about the fact that this mastermind in Las Vegas. First of all, I've never been to Vegas. So I'm just super excited to, experience Vegas with you guys. So it's like a tenfold experience for me, man. We're turning it up to 11 for me. So I'm super excited about that. And everything that you just described, Kevin, is the entire reason why we're putting this entire thing together, bro. I've been to just events and masterminds and things like that in the past where the value was all in the networking. And there was some rah stuff, but the value was all in the networking. And if I didn't know how to network, or if I didn't have clarity on what it was I was even trying to do, then how do I know how to network intentionally? And guys, the things that we have put together for this entire thing, I talked about how I spent almost 15 years in the Air Force. And getting out at 15 years was like, oh my gosh. I was just trying to I was trying to debate whether I should pay $10 a month or $20 a month for a gym membership. And here I am about ready to jump out of the military and give up everything, give up a retirement, give up medical for my family. And I took the bet on myself. And I'm so glad that I did. But I understand that not everybody is me. Not everybody thinks the way I do, and not everybody's risk tolerance is the same, and that's okay. And because of that, myself, Kevin, Chris, Angel, Shane, Amber, James, we've put together this event with all of you guys in mind for that. What could we create? Theoretically, let me paint this picture real quick. Theoretically, if we had people fly into this event from Vegas, and theoretically, they never talked to a single person. They did absolutely zero networking. They didn't gather one phone number, no nothing. Could we still create a mastermind that would 10x their business leaving this event having not talked to one person. And you guys, we did. This is it.
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible to come to this event, not talk to one person, and leave without a blueprint, a personalized blueprint, like Kevin said, of getting you where you are to 7 figures. We're gonna have I almost said breakout rooms. It's like a Zoom thing now. I've been in Alaska too long, dude. We're gonna have breakout rooms, guys. We're gonna have workshops. We're gonna be doing things in real time with you guys. When we go to dinner, when we go to some of these activities that we're gonna have after class, we're gonna be doing things with you guys in real time during those activities, during those outings. It is literally impossible. So much so that Kevin and I've never seen somebody put on an event and put this kind of guarantee on it. But Kevin and I, if you came to this event and you didn't talk to a single soul while you were there, and I keep saying that because I understand the value is in the network, like networking alone. We've already hammered down on that enough. But I want you to understand the amount of freaking value in this mastermind that we're putting on. If you didn't talk to a single person, you didn't get one phone number, you didn't have one conversation. You came in here and you took action on everything that we're going to be showing you guys. And if you feel leaving this mastermind that you don't have clarity, that you don't know exactly step by step what you are going to do and how you are going to do it and who you're going to do it with, and you don't feel like the value that you paid, which is less than $700, was worth it for you, Kevin and I will personally write you a check.
Yep.
We will personally refund you. I've never heard of anybody doing this. I've never seen it.
Like I don't want to
where our mouth is.
I don't want to sit and have the feeling that that person didn't get something out of it. And so I'm personally invested to make sure that that is true for that person, no matter their circumstance and where they're starting at. I know that you guys have different circumstances and different starting points, different issues and things that arise. So I know it's a person by person, basis of where is that starting point or where are they coming in? Whether it's I've not done a deal, I've done a bunch of different deals, I'm lost, I'm afraid to break out and go to that next level or whatever the thing is. I wonder who this is. It's Great 80.
Oh,
Great Lou.
I bet it is Great 80. I was wondering, I was like, Great Lou? Who's Great Lou? I bet that is Great. That's an 80 there. Grady.
Is that Mindy, I wonder?
It's Grady, bro.
Oh, it's Grady, dude. Oh, yeah, Grady, dude. What's happening, brother? Oh, now I get it, man. This is actually what got roasted at the event. Oh, dude, Grady.
Hilarious.
That's funny. This is like what got roasted at the event was like people's like handles. They're like, look at they gave like some examples of like people's like Instagram account and something. It was like showing like, oh yeah, you're not only are your posts discombobulated, like Jesse was bringing up, and you see like the garbage they're putting out, so to speak, and like there's also like, what's the name that you put out there? What's your profile pic? What's the handle when I and so Grady, we're going to talk a little bit about your YouTube and social media handles
in a good way, bro, because we love you.
Yeah, I'm not roasting them. I mean, it's a good example. Now it comes together. Yeah, Grady, dude,
there it is.
You're going to kick ass. So Grady's in on it. We got to meet up a little bit, and I'm just your presence and how you show up. You're the type of person, and how I had a very short conversation with Grady, but the type of person that I met there is the grounded, confident essence of a person that I'd want to lend money to. I don't know barely anything about Grady's business. I know Jesse might know a little bit more, but I barely know nothing. It was simply who he was being. And I'm like, oh, this person clearly holds themselves in such a way that I can see that they're going to go farther faster. So I'm just, saying,
I can validate everything you're saying is correct.
Like just in how he showed up. sometimes, just within like a few short minutes, like 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes, you get like a feel or a sense of that person.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I was picking up in Grady. He's grounded, confident. He's got great energy about him. I'm like, this is the type of money I would lend, or excuse me, this is the type of person I would lend money to, because I have confidence that you would put it to work. You get to take that in.
That's awesome, man. Dude, I'm
Thank you.
excited. This is like something just magical happens. And it's neat. It's neat to be able to feel the energy and to feel the frequency of something being connecting with somebody virtually. But to
Mhm.
take this and unpackage it in a room together in person, I'm excited for it, man. It'll be life-changing. This event is something that I wish would have existed when I was trying to figure out how to build and scale my business. And
100%.
it's virtually risk-free. You come to this event, you choose to take a bet on yourself, and you don't feel like it was worth it, we'll refund you your ticket. We'll cut you a check.
Mhm.
Take a bet on yourself. I understand not everyone's going to take the same bet I did, and that's why this event is here. It's a safety net for you to say, hey, you know what? I'm not where I want to be. I know that I'm capable of more, but I just don't know how. Don't be the person. I was this person, Kevin, that was like, oh man, I don't know if I can afford it. Now, here's what I'm doing. I'm just going to try to figure out, I'm going to get some deals done. I'm trying to figure it out on my own. And then I'll take that money and then I'll do the thing. You know how long that took, dude? Because of that attitude, it took me a year to get my first deal. My first deal was in Memphis, Tennessee, Kevin, and it was $1,200. And I'm just looking back like, oh my gosh. Jesse, what were you doing, bro?
Yeah, what
What were you
playground
doing?
were you?
There's a reason why people pay, people like Ed Milet, $250,000, $500,000 to just take the shortcut. It's like, dude, if I just put this in here, and that's not even guaranteed. That doesn't come with a guarantee.
No.
It's like, and they I don't know. Anyway, I digress. But I hope you guys, if anybody is resonating with just some of the things that I've gone through and that Kevin has gone through and some of the things that we've shared, we've tried to create an event at such a low price that the value you get is literally not even 10x. It's literally 100x.
Totally.
And we wanted to create something, myself, Kevin, Chris, the rest of the crew wanted to create something for you guys that was very results driven. It gets you guys hitting those milestones. It gets you guys actually pushing the needle forward. And the networking that you're going to get from it is just the cherry on top. It's what's going to send this entire thing over the moon.
The thing I like about it is you're going to be connecting with other people that are working this same model. Now, some of those guys are going to have resources differently than you, which is great. But I like getting around other people that get it. Like, oh, this person's in the same world as me. And I'm going to take different things from each person to help level up. They may have access to different things that we could be synergistic around, and we can do deals together. I think that there's something of benefit because, like the event, some of us just got back from, not everybody, but some of us just got back from. There was a wide variety of people, variety.
Yeah.
And I might be able to support or be a go-giver to somebody over there, but maybe not in the same way that I would be about a more curated, smaller community like this. It's going to be very tight knit. We're not having thousands of people come. This is more mastermind style where you're going to get to know everybody in that room. Over the course of those 3 days, you're going to be friends as well as colleagues, battle buddies that are supporting the path. And I brought this up to Jesse when we first looked at this. It's like, there's going to be a cost for this event to put on because we have the venue at Vegas. We got people, food and some other stuff. Like, it's not inexpensive to put something on. It's in the tens of thousands of dollars. I told Jesse, I'll pay the bill. If we don't get it paid back, frankly, I don't care. I'd want to break even on this event. I'm not here to make money on the event. I'm here that we create the space so that you guys can level up. So everyone that's looking at like this ticket price and all that stuff, I'm willing to lose money on this event to create the space that everyone can level up. I'm willing to pay back your ticket price if you're not excited about this. Like there's nothing I'm getting out of this other than connecting with other people that are working at a high level around this. It's not a moneymaker for us. I want that to really hit home for you guys. You know, it's funny, Freddie. Thank you for that. It's not funny when you see the bill, and we were all on a team call together, and you're like, "Whoa, actually, this venue is not as cheap as we thought." I mean, the hotel prices are good for everybody else, but it's not. And oh my gosh, how much it is for like catering and all this kind of stuff that you bring in and all that stuff. And it's like, guys, relax. It's just a bunch of, digits with a comma and some of that stuff in there. What's most important is that we curate the space for the transformations to happen. I needed to get into other rooms. I needed to get out of Montana, which is beautiful and great, but isolated and kept away from people that are working at a next level. And so just as they talked about at this event, and I've heard it in many other places, like you got to get into the right rooms. And what we're trying to do is curate a right room that could go from, level 1 operation to a level 8 or 10 or a 12, or so that I'm in 12 months time going, that was a helpful catalyst to kick my butt and get me somewhere else. I got a lot of value from the event that we had this last weekend, mostly in the relationships. I was intentional. I went there because there was 5 specific people I wanted to meet up with. Some of you guys already know who in this group you want to meet up with and get in-person time with. I didn't try to meet all 2,000 or so people. I was a sniper. There's very specific tactical reasons I wanted to get a dinner reservation with these 2 people and sit down and talk about something. One of those is one of the ones that brought me that deal that I just described to you. And it's like, that's the type of thing that can happen when we get intentional with this. I don't need 2,000 people. I only need a handful of people to go create some magic. And that's what we're trying to curate here. Again, I know that this is kind of like a pitch fest, so to speak. I don't want that to come across like that. I want it to be an invitation. If you resonate with it, heck yes. But again, I don't want to hard sell or anything. I want this to be where if it's an aligned fit, perfect. If you have resistance that's coming up, talk to Jesse and I. We're happy to figure out how to make that work for you. Just as like we talked a little bit about it. Grady got to see it when gentleman Zach was bringing up some things. We're like, perfect. Like, all right, I'm at an event. How's my wife going to receive it if I come home and I talk about, this other thing that I have coming up? Let's get her on a conversation and figure out how it could be a win-win for the family. I'm happy to curate some experiences for the kids and for everyone together to go experience it. So it's not just, you were at a conference all day long. We had a really great time together with that experience, and everybody wins out of it in some way. And there's other types of resistance points that you guys have coming up. It could be about the dates. It could be about finances. It could be about, I don't know, the variety of different things. Just want you to know that I'm open resource. I'm not looking to push anybody over the edge. Just come up with creative ways. That's what we do.
100%. I put the link in the chat, guys. Go to unleashandinvest.com. You guys can find out more about the event. You guys can get your tickets there. Right now, early bird pricing is $697. Like Kevin said, this isn't like, it's not like, hey, how can we go make a quick $500,000? Like, this is not it at all. Like, hopefully you break even on this thing. This is all for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
This is all for you. Like Kevin said, to curate an environment of meaningful intention, friendships, colleagues.
Dude, I want to be at this event. This, by the way, is one of those things where I'm going to be taking notes. I'm going to pick up things from it. So it's like I'm helping with Jesse and all these other guys create a room that I want to be in. I want to be in that sort of thing. I like coming to events where there's a little bit of a blend between some of the mindset and ahas and the tactical. And we're actually looking at strategy. We're getting action items and blueprint put together. That's the type of thing I want to have. Then everything is a bonus when you talk about the connections, the relationships, and what we create from the human capital there.
Ooh,
and Devin, that's a great question. We don't have one yet. We will have something leading up in the few short weeks coming up. So that sit tight. We'll have a little bit of that, and there will be some homework to come. as I mentioned to both Devin, Mindy, and a few others. When you say yes, I like to say that the opening begins when I say yes. And the transformation begins at that moment. Now, the transformation is me opening the idea that I'm going to start becoming somebody as a result of this. To make it more real and tangible, I'm going to be giving you guys homework and some action items leading up to the event so that we get the most out of that event. Who here wants to come together at an event where I have potential deals that are coming my way? Oh my gosh, I got to figure out where the capital's coming from. I've already kind of stress tested what my next level might look like. And now all of a sudden I'm coming to it where this mastermind is uncovering how to get through the bottlenecks. That's the type of thing that I'm so don't think that the event is simply just those 3 days. Now, one of the things I didn't touch on is, there will be some homework and some things leading up. For those that are a heck yes and looking at the VIP, there's a container we're creating for 60 days leading after that, so that your action items and implementation is going to be wrapped with coaching and support to get you through the bottlenecks and on the fast track faster. Because sometimes there's a little bit of setup and I got to get this right. And oh my gosh, this is happening. Or how do I figure this out? You're going to come into the coaching after the event and going, as you're applying it right now in real time, let's work through it. So that's in addition to that. And no, it's not just a Zoom where we're going to get on. Kevin's going to talk for 7 hours. Like, I'm actually going to be putting people in hot seats and we're going to be working through stuff.
There isn't anything like it.
I can't talk for Jesse.
Guys, skip the wholesaling process. Get in here. Go straight to buy and hold, man. Learn how to build connections. Become a rock star connector. Be a lighthouse.
Yes.
Attract these opportunities to you. Attract these relationships. Kevin, this was awesome, bro.
It's fire, man.
Guys, was this great? Was this not a phenomenal show today? Gosh, man. Dude, this was awesome.
I got some good takeaways from what you shared earlier.
Likewise, brother. Thank you.
This is the thing about good relationships. I take something from Jesse. Jesse takes something from me, and we're both better off because of it. Like, those are the types of relationships I want more of. You know? Like, how many have friends that you get around and it's just like a dump fest of like negativity or like, gossip or things. It's like, I leave those relationships going like, why do I keep hanging out with these folks? Is it just because they're close by and like our kids are similar ages? I want more relationships where like I feed off the energy, they feed off my energy, and we leave better off because of it. And like, I can't wait to get around Jesse more often.
I'm glad. I'm excited to meet in person, bro. Me being in Alaska, like my best friends are all people I've either met once or have never met. Chris, I've only met in person one time, and we've been business partners for going on 2 years now. When we come to this event, this will only be the second time in almost 2 years. Well, it'll be 2 years. It'll be after 2 years by the time the event happens.
Dude, Chris was much taller than I thought.
Dude, yeah. No, yeah, he's like 6'2" or something like that. His doctor doesn't want him to get any taller. He hit a growth spurt last summer. So, yeah, just one of those things caught us all off guard. But yeah, man, I'm excited, dude. If this can be curated virtually, it's literally me turned up to 11 in person. Yeah, I'm excited, bro.
And we got content throughout the day. Don't worry, like it's not 8 to 5 or 9 to 5. Like there'll be plenty of stuff we're digging into the evening. I'll try to get you guys some sleep while you're there when you come. But anyway, I'll let you guys off. Have an amazing time. I want to see some takeaways that you guys had from the conversation we had today in the chat. Because like I said before, I don't want this to just have some inspirational aspects. I want it to go, how can I get that lesson now starting to be put into place, whether it's around mindset, how I'm thinking strategically, or my actions I'm taking away.
Let me take it a step further here real quick, Kevin. Go into the Growth Co. Facebook group today, guys. Now, if you guys didn't catch the beginning, Meta, Facebook, so lovingly has created a new bottleneck for us to stream. And so we're here on my personal page and we're here on the YouTubes. And so if people don't know that we're on YouTube because we're not streaming all over the place anymore, if you guys can, go into the Growth Co. Facebook group. And for everybody who didn't know we were streaming live or couldn't make it today, go in there and make your post in there about what your takeaway was today. And not only your takeaway, like Kevin said, we want to make it actionable. We want it to be intentional. We want it to be impactful. So I want you to call your shot. There's something that really that's really magical about what happens when you call your shot. My dad told me a story real quick in closing. My dad told me a story one time of Babe Ruth. Everybody here knows who Babe Ruth is. Babe Ruth called his shot. He was being interviewed after he called his shot. He pointed to right where he was going to hit that ball. Knocked it out of the park. He told everybody exactly what he was going to do. And then he went and made it happen. He was being interviewed right after that happened. And as the story goes, the reporter asked him, well, babe, let me ask you, what would have happened if you did that and then you didn't hit the ball where you said you were going to go, where he said he was going to go? And Babe Ruth's response was, never really thought of it. How amazing is that? Let's take a chapter from Babe Ruth here for a second. I want you to think about the things you're wanting to accomplish, why you're coming to this event in Vegas. What is that shot that you're striving for that you haven't told anybody about yet? I want somebody to ask you 12 months from now, you did this in 12 months. Well, let me ask you, what would have happened if you didn't accomplish that?
Yes.
And I want you leaving this event completely reframed and responding, damn, I don't know, I guess I never really thought of it. Go into the Growth Co Facebook group. I want you to call your shot. I want you to give a key takeaway from today. And I want you to call your shot. Calling your shot is going to do a couple things for you guys real quick. One, when you go into that Facebook group and you call your shot, you're going to allow other people to see what you're trying to do. Like Kevin said, the entire point of this event was to get around other like-minded people. When you go into that Facebook group and you call your fucking shot, you're going to allow other people the opportunity to say, oh, Alex Angus is trying to do this. Naomi is trying to do this. Ken Wilson's trying to do this. That is interesting. That aligns with exactly what I'm trying to do. And then number two, there's an accountability aspect to that. You've officially posted it on Facebook.
You declared.
When I go, again, when I go network with somebody, dude, I'm perusing the crap out of social. I'll go see what they posted in other groups. I'll see what's on their personal page. And other people will do the same. You put that on Facebook. You post that on the interwebs. And it's there. Alex Angus says, go straight to buy and hold and forget wholesaling. Dude, I wish somebody would have told me this when I first started. I spent years wholesaling. Guys, come to Vegas, spend 3 days with us, and shave 3 years off of your business. Call your shot. Those are your two things in there, guys. Go to Facebook, share a key takeaway from this, and call your fucking shot. Go tell everybody what you're going to do. That's all I got for you guys. Thank you. We went almost 2 hours today, Kevin. And we've had everybody just sticking around with us, despite that we couldn't stream into 8 different places like we usually do. And this has been awesome. Yeah. I hope you guys got tons of value from today. Please, 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 I beg you, please give Kevin some love. Thank you. It's always such a pleasure when I get to be around him and learn from him and hear from him. And he was extremely flexible this morning. I shot him a text and I was like, oh, hey, dude, you want to come on today? And he was like, dude, yes, I would love to. Like, he made time out of his Saturday, completely unexpected, to come in here and to spend some time with us today. So please give Kevin some love in the comments. I appreciate you, Kevin. I appreciate all you guys. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for giving us some of your time. Thank you for giving us almost 2 hours today. I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. We know that time is your most valuable asset, and we never, ever intend to waste it. We will be here every single Saturday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. If you guys want notifications, don't forget, subscribe to my YouTube channel, since I think that's probably where we're going to have to start streaming from now on. So make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss the notifications when we do go live. Oh, Sonja's here. Sonja, thank you for being here. She says, our most valuable real estate is between our 2 ears. Dude, I freaking love that. We must guard that space at all costs. Do not allow anyone to place doubt and negativity in your headspace. Amazing. I couldn't agree more, Sonja. Thank you. Thank you. Devin, Derek, Freddie Rivas. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Debbie, thank you for being here. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys. Hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll chat with you guys soon.
Thanks for listening to the House of Cards podcast with Chris James and Jesse Stanton. We hope you've enjoyed this episode and have learned something new about real estate investing. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram for more tips and tricks. And don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. Until next time.